violent vertical edge setter.
I see some gas on the edge. Getting that mindset to put your shoulder on somebody. Dig, drug. You're finished. Hey, first down. This is weird. It worse than last time.
I'm hearing like a double. You hear that? Oh, I see what's going on. Hey, everybody. This is GreenBean, and welcome to New York Jets Worldwide, the show where we've taken our European and worldwide Jets fan brethren and sistren into consideration, our olive branch, if you will, to make a stream a little bit more digestible for you guys so you don't have to stay up till 2 in the morning like Phil Adams. He's like, it's 5 in the morning and I haven't slept yet just to watch your stream. So here we are, but I'm not alone in this, and you guys know that. So I'm going to say hello to my co-host, see how he's doing. I think he's at work today, poor fellow. Let's say hello to Jeremy Cravat. What's up, man? Good morning.
Morning. How could it be at work? School's not open on Saturday.
But it is.
Well, when you have a theater on your campus and you rent it out.
So what is it, like a theater production, or is it like are they practicing? Is there going to be people like arriving, like buying tickets? And
I was last second. I wasn't the admin that had to be here. We're 2 schools on this one big campus, the elementary, middle, and high school. The last second, just about an hour ago, the administrator that was supposed to be here couldn't be here. So I know nothing about the event except it's some kind of ceremony. They have like 150 seats set up, a podium, projector, and everything. I had to hook up a sound system for him. So it's just every once in a while there's like an event or something. Sometimes we do like kindergarten graduations and things for other schools and things like that.
So all I'm hearing is that if you guys need audio visual help, we got him. We got your guy, Jeremy Cravat's audio visual expertise. He wheels in remember, guys, when we went to school, there wasn't a TV in every classroom or computers. They had to walk in with the big 3-tiered big ass TV on a cart with the VCR where the tape deck came out of the top. Remember that? And nobody was allowed to touch it. It had 3 channels. That's what it is. So Jeremy does that. He does that stuff. Let's say good morning to everybody. So Phil Adams was in here first, speak of the devil, all the way from Stoke-on-Trent in the UK. I was watching something. I watch a lot of like not secret, but like lost civilization stuff and Roman Empire and Egyptians and the Peruvians, all that kind of stuff. And they mentioned just yesterday, I was watching something at night and they said just outside of Stoke. I said, holy shit, that's Phil. So Phil probably has some ancient stuff. I think there was this guy, Phil, there's like a stone circle around you. And there's a guy there who does earth energy with these rods. He's right near you, Phil. Phil might go, no, that's me, actually. I wouldn't know. But anyway, so hello, Phil. Glad you're here. Liam Riordan's here. Good morning, sir. Obviously, Jeremy Cravat is here. Anthony, good morning, Anthony. Craig Safola's back. What's up, Craig? Good to see you, man. Gitmo Bob, Liberal Irishman, international crew in the house, indeed. I love having you guys around, man. You don't know. I mean, honest to God, even though we haven't had a guest, I think next week we have somebody else from the United Kingdom coming on. But even though like we haven't had a guest on from worldwide, the show is still designed to consider you guys. That's what this is. If there's a better time, let us know, because we're just trying to figure out the best time for you guys. But it really has helped me getting to know, like I gotta say, I always knew that there were some fans smattered around the world, but this last year being on YouTube, it really became clear to me how robust of a worldwide presence we have, especially for a team that has largely sucked for so long. So anyway, it's been one of the highlights for me, and it's tickled me getting to meet you guys, even if it's just via text. Like Liberal Irishman, we haven't met yet, but I feel like I know you, man. Like you're around more times than you're not. I mean, Phil, I feel like he's my father. Oh, look what he says. He goes to Stone Circle. That's my house. I believe you, man. I believe you. So Gitmo Bob, who's a good friend of ours. Kevin Vafadust is here. Good to see you, Kevin. But Gitmo Bob brings up a good point. I labeled this show, look, and I just labeled things whatever they are, but I labeled it the Mike White era. So Gitmo Bob brings up our first area of discussion, Jeremy. He says, no offense, Green Bay Packers, but this isn't the White era. Green Bay. Every time I see Green Bay, I think it's GreenBean now. I swear to God. It's like funny. Like, did you realize GreenBean? I'm like, I never said, Green Bay. But no offense, GreenBean, but this isn't the White era. It's a bump in the road for Zach Wilson. And I think that's probably closer to what's being, to reality. But one thing I wanted to bring up, Jeremy, and I'm really curious to get your opinion, because we haven't spoken about this yet. Jeremy and I do talk throughout the week, but we don't get into it. We're obligated. So this is our first time really talking about this. But one of the interesting things is that Mike White, I don't know if a lot of people know this. I didn't know this, and I just made a video yesterday, and everybody's fucking got me roasting over the spit. But Mike White, he went to the University of South Florida, started a couple games his freshman year, started the entire senior season. When they went to a spread offense from the pro offense, he decided to transfer to Western Kentucky, and he threw for 12,903 yards with 63 touchdowns in 2 years. Dude, that's 6,500 yards a year. It's 500 a game, dude. So do you think, and well, let me say this too, the Senior Bowl, he played in the Senior Bowl and went 8 for 11 for $128 and 2 touchdowns, no picks. So do you think there's any real hope for Mike White coming in? And then we'll get to some of the receivers and all that. But just straight up, do you think there's hope for Mike White to come in and actually play well enough to keep Flacco on the bench while Zach Wilson's out? What do you think? How do you see it, man?
Oh, I saw a different question coming. I thought you were going to ask if there's any chance.
Well, that's next. That one's next.
Okay. Yeah, I think that there's a chance that Mike White could play well enough to keep Flacco out. I think it's possible. We don't know. They kept him for a reason. He didn't look awful last week. He made a mistake or two, but he also did some good things. And he knows the offense a little better, although Flacco might get up to speed faster than we think because he was in Denver, and so he knows a little bit about the West Coast system. But yeah, I think there's a chance. I think if he plays well, I'm not saying it's likely or he will, but if he came out and shocked us all and played really well, why have him as your QB2? Why have him come in and play well and then say, we're going to sit you now anyway? It doesn't make any sense. So I say, yeah, he can, it's his job right now. He can hold on to it if he plays well enough.
Yeah, well, it's right. And obviously we're going to get to some larger questions, but the first thing, because look, we made a trade for Joe Flacco, and a lot of us are scratching our head, right? Like, we've had Josh Johnson on the team. So that kind of, even though people have not acknowledged it, like they still kept clamoring, like saying, we need a vet quarterback. Even though there's one on the team, it didn't meet what people wanted, their expectations for a vet quarterback, but he was here. And then when it's time for the number 2 quarterback to play, the guy we kept, we let James Morgan go, we didn't sign another guy. It's time for him to play. So you would think our other guy that's been on the roster since the second week of preseason would just bump up off the practice squad. And we go and fucking trade a 6th-round pick, pardon my French, for Joe Flacco, a guy that was on our team. So it's just like, it's weird at minimum. Whether you support it or don't, I think we pretty much can agree it's weird, and that the idea would be for Flacco to start. So if Mike White comes out and throws for 3 bills, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and we're competitive, if we even win, do you take him out and put Flacco in? What do you think? Do you think that? Would you do that?
Again, I think it's just how he plays. I mean, if he plays poorly, I think that we want to field a competitive team. I'm not angry about Flacco being signed. I'm more like you're saying, it was a surprise. But then I was thinking about it, and Like it's possible. I just want to say it's possible that they were after Flacco sooner and the Eagles wanted too much. And that the Eagles now got to a point closer to the trade deadline. We're going this direction. We've decided that, and gave us the price we wanted. We don't know that they weren't trying to get him, 5 weeks ago or 2 months ago.
Right. And
although we didn't re-sign him, which doesn't make a lot of sense.
Well, look,
but.
Well, just on that point, Jeremy, real quick, and hold your thought, but I just want to, on that point, the way that I'm choosing to look at it, I could be wrong, but the way I'm choosing to look at it is that when you were thinking about a vet quarterback specifically for the mentor role, I don't think Flacco's your guy. I mean, like, he has openly said, I don't want, that's not my job. That's the coach's job. So it's not like, doesn't seem like Flacco is really warm to that idea. So if you're looking for a vet quarterback to be a mentor, Flacco's a guy that you do want to let go. It's like, oh, that's not the guy. Maybe you look for somebody else. But I do understand that. Now, if you're looking for a guy to play and maybe try to see what this offense has with a vet, I think Flacco could be that guy. But it's all contingent upon Mike White. Now, another thing. So go on. So finish your thought. I just wanted to say that.
No, I was just thinking, like, there's always the possibility. There's always that hidden curtain, right, that we don't see behind, that we don't know what's going on. And that was my only thought. Like, there could be explanations that we just don't know or understand of what they're doing. I mean, I looked at it as, if Mike White can't keep them competitive, they don't want it to be, lost season or not, they don't, they want to save some face. So maybe they brought him in his insurance that it wouldn't get too ugly. Like, if Zach is out 4 weeks, Mike White is horrible on Sunday. For the 3 weeks, they have some level of competitiveness. I mean, possibly.
Yeah, and I think that's probably where it all is. It's like, I think it's just they liked Josh Johnson's ability to kind of bounce things off of, like in that side, but they don't want him to play. So I don't know. Maybe he really, really sucks as far as his physical attributes, but he is a wealth of knowledge. I mean, the guy's been through everything. So maybe that's what it is. Kevin Vafadou says, unfortunately, the Jets will never have a Tom Brady moment. Maybe if we were the Packers or Steelers. And I think a lot of us agree with you, Kevin. But that does bring me to another point where if this is going to happen, you would need some key elements to take place. Now, one of those is, it just so happens that there's a lot of unfolding right now that might be in Mike White's favor. As we know, Mike White has been the number 2 quarterback playing with the number 2s, right? Through most of training camp and all that sort of stuff. So, in practice. So Denzel Mims, for whatever reason, we could disagree all we want, and I do disagree with it, but he has been with the number 2s as well. So he has been playing with Mike White maybe more than he's playing with Zach Wilson, and Mike White has played with Denzel Mims maybe more than Corey Davis, let's say. So it just so happens that Corey Davis is injured, and Denzel Mims, who they've said all year he's Corey Davis's backup. So the idea would be that Denzel Mims gets the nod. Okay. Now, if he gets the nod, it just so happens to be the receiver that he's been playing with all offseason, and Elijah Moore as well at times. So do you think, Jeremy, that helps Mike White? Do you think it's just stupid? It's an inconsequential detail, or do you think there's something real there, something substantial that could potentially counter Kevin's point, which I do agree with overall? But do you think the Denzel Mims Mike White thing has any real relevance? How do you see it?
I think it might, but remember that just like White, and I think it's good that Crowder too, that there's some familiarity there. Because last year those practices where they played together, and now they're playing together all the time. Also remember that Flacco played with last year with Mims and Crowder as well. So I think that's a positive for both of them, is that they have some familiarity with the wide receivers. But I think on Sunday, like in this situation, definitely it might help them that it's Mims. I think it'll help them that it's Mims just simply because Mims is the best wide receiver they have. But the fact that he practices with him and they definitely probably develop some kind of chemistry.
That's interesting, though. I mean, right. And I think your point is a solid one. The truth is that from my perspective, Denzel Mims is the best receiver we have. The fact that they don't like him, I mean, I don't know. I don't like it. And the thing is, like we've talked about since training camp, really, is that if the team is successful and their personnel decisions work, I don't really care. I mean, as much as I like a player or don't like a player, and this is where, like, when you can see me with guys like maybe Javelin Guidry, like, yeah, I have my opinions on players, but ultimately I just want the Jets to get on the field and play well. If that means Javelin Guidry is our starter, I'm rooting for him. If that means Denzel Mims is on the bench and Corey Davis and Keelan Cole are lighting it up, hey, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really care. But when it's not working is when I really do have an issue. And so up to this point, this coaching staff hasn't proven to me as an objective, and hey, I lean Homer, dude. Everybody knows that. I'm slightly tilted to the positive side here. So I think the fact that their moves haven't worked, they haven't given me anything to feel confident, the coaching staff that is, about their ability to field the best players, and then when the best players are on, put them in their best position to succeed. We see tight ends out wide. We see Elijah Moore out wide. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Elijah Moore had 1,700 plus yards in the slot his last 2 years in college. He led the entirety of college football. Elijah Moore was number 1 in the slot, and we don't play him there. So it just seems to me like there's a lot of mistakes. So getting the guys like Denzel Mims, Elijah Moore, and Crowder on the field, or even Keelan Cole, whatever it is, I hope it's not Keelan Cole, Moore, Crowder, dude. I'd be pissed. I really would. But I think that grouping could really help Mike White. And I think, it's just like John says here, I think JD and the staff know there's not a shot in hell that White is going to play well enough to hold the fort until Zach is back, and that's why they got Flacco. That's a point. It is. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I agree with it, but it's definitely, it holds weight. So I think the fact that we're going to see, hopefully, Mims, Crowder, and Moore, I think that would be good. I'd rather see Mims, Cole, Crowder, or, Mims, Cole, Moore than I would Cole, Moore, Crowder. I really would. You know what I mean? I think the guys in there should play their positions. That's what I think.
Absolutely. I agree. They should definitely play their positions. I mean, look, if they, just like you said, if they started the year and Cole was on fire and great, and that they said, look, Jacksonville misused him and they never gave him the chance, and he's amazing, great. But the reality is, and I don't know this for a fact, but I think if you check, because I don't think he was a WR2 for Jacksonville. I think he was like more 3 or 4. I'm not sure, but I think even if he was starting wide receiver for them, he's not on pace to do any better than he did for them, which is a guy who gets 350 to 400 yards in a season.
Yeah. And it just seems like Cole is the kind of guy that is really good as your fourth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what he should be. I understand Joe Douglas likes him. I understand this staff likes him. And they're thinking that he has proven that he's actually worthy of a greater role. But he hasn't done anything. You know what I mean? The one game he looked good. Fair enough. But everybody looked good that game, the second half. So it just is what it is. Like, Cole has not proven anything. And Mims has, in the very limited reps he's received. Mims has, So there's a few things going on in the chat. Jason Rhodes is saying White could be our Brady. Yeah, and that's kind of look, do I really believe that's going to happen? Probably not, dude. I've been a Jets fan a long time. It's very rare that anything works out. The only time that I can think of off the top of my head that it actually worked out like that is when we had Jonathan Vilma, and he was kind of struggling in the new 4-3. I think it was. And then we drafted David Harris, and Vilma got injured. And then David Harris came in and lumped up the world. Like, he looked great that first year, and it freed up the ability to trade Vilma, get some value back, and then just have David Harris, who was great his first 3 or 4 years. He was great. Now Vilma ended up being the better player, and I wouldn't have traded Vilma. I would have figured out how to friggin' use them both. But anyway, that did technically work out for us. But other than that, I can't think of a single instance where a guy went down and the guy who replaced him just ended up being a world beater. It doesn't work like that for us. That said, it can. And like somebody said, I think Robbie Oak wrote me, he said, hey, we are kind of due, man. Yeah, do? Hell yeah, we're due. But so Anthony's bringing up something that I wanted to talk about. I don't know if you read yesterday's Tony Pauline article. Have you had a chance to to get into that?
I didn't, but I don't understand the concept of penny pinching when you have a salary cap.
Well, here's let me explain that. Let me explain the article. So, Anthony, I did read the article, and I see that Mr. Hank Kingsley also read it. If you guys haven't read it, it's worth a read, but just know what it is when you're going in. I mean, he says all this stuff, and then toward the end of the article, he said most people do just chalk it up to growing pains, though. But here's a million little details that we can nitpick. So that's what he does. But what he said about Joe Douglas and the penny pinching was that the exact words were he treats every dollar like it's his last dollar. You know what I mean? So he's not only just being frugal, he's not only just being smart with his money, he's actually hindering goals that he has. Like, for example, they really wanted Boyer as the backup this year, but he gave Boyer a low ball offer and they never even replied, I think is what it said. Like, it was just some vet minimum type of thing. And Boyer just laughed at him and went back to the Patriots for, I think he makes $3 million or something like that. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but it's something like that. So Joe Douglas lowballed him and ended up not getting his guy. Then he went with Fant over Conklin. So there's a lot of details out there, but here's the thing. The article didn't say anything firm. It said people are feeling, people are thinking, a guy with knowledge said, like that sort of stuff. But the truth is that I want Joe Douglas to be that way. Now, could he have gotten and done a few things different? Absolutely, man. Absolutely. But we have been the big spenders in free agency for 25 years. The yearly joke was we win the offseason. If there were Lombardi trophies for the offseason, we'd have 7, 8, 9, 10 of them. All right. Like, we win the offseason. So I want Joe Douglas just to be getting those yearly contracts, those 1-year contracts that he does while he builds through the draft. That's what I want. I like that. Now, is there a few guys I wanted that he didn't get? Yes, absolutely. But overall, I like it. Now, it went into some other things, and this was the interesting thing about what we're talking about. He said that, two things. One is he said that the front office loves Mims and the coaching staff hates Mims. Those were the exact words. So I don't like it. And that shows a divide. They said that Joe Douglas's and Robert Saleh's relationship right now is also going through growing pains. They've bumped heads a few times. Now, what Anthony wrote here, Pauline also claims Robert Saleh is working the guys too hard through the week and they come to game day, they're too tired. Now, and he says that he's outworking them. Oh, no, that's right. That's what it was. I remember reading it wrong and I had to go back and read it. I'm like, outworking them? What? So he says that he's overworking them. So if that's the case, I don't know what the fuck is going on in the NFL anymore. Like, they don't do two-a-days. They don't do any of that stuff. If this team has worked too hard and they come on game day, they're too tired, then I don't know how to be an NFL fan anymore. Because, dude, they don't work 30% as hard as the teams that I rooted for in the, growing up. They did a whole, 2 months of two-a-days, man. You know what I mean? 2 practices a day. I think they're not working hard enough. But it was a point that the article made. So what do you think about that? That the coaching staff hates Mims and the front office loves Mims and all that stuff that we're talking about. Do you have any thoughts? I understand that you didn't read the article, but with what I'm saying, what are you hearing? How do you digest this stuff?
Okay, so I don't think they hate him. I think that they, and this is what worries me the most about them, is in the beginning there was a reason why Cole was playing. I think they fell in love with this idea. They knew Cole, like Joe Douglas knew him, the coaches knew him. They saw what he did in Jacksonville with some great catches, and they said, "Wow, this guy could be great. This guy could be great." And they believed it so hard that when it wasn't happening, and it isn't happening, it's like they don't want to pull back and admit they were wrong. Like, now they're forced to. Right now, now Mims is going to be in there. We think, if not, there's going to be, we're going to be outside with picket signs. But I don't think they hate him. I think that, what I'm really worried about is that they're just being too stubborn with their belief system, and they're not looking at the reality. They're hanging on to preconceived notions too much. That's my only explanation. Like, why are they the only ones? I mean, it's that don't know that Mims is better than Cole. Every other team, because I'm telling you, I'm in a place where there's fans of other teams, right?
Yeah.
Every other team, when I talk to fans of other teams, they're perplexed too. They're like, why do you guys sit Mims over? Like, it's not just Jet fans.
Yeah.
Everybody's so confused. Everybody's like, well, any fantasy guy who knows Cole's numbers really well are like, why would you start him over Mims? We were excited to draft Mims. We thought this would be his breakout year. Like, so it just doesn't make any sense. As far as working them too hard, I agree with you. That's really sad. I don't know where that comes from, but that's really sad if you're saying that, if you're telling me one of the youngest teams in the NFL is too tired because they're working hard. When I was 23, 24 years old, man, I can go hard every day. I could play every day. I could run every day. I didn't get sore. I was like, I mean, we're not like a team of 35 to 40-year-olds that are now sore each day. And
dude, right. I worked for a landscaper, and I was in construction most of my young life, right? So I was carpenter, plumber, fucking electrician, all that. But particularly, I remember working for this landscape company, LTD, out of Bernardsville, in New Jersey. And dude, we would work. I would get there at 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. We'd be on the job by 8. I would work till 6, literally raking rocks behind a huge tractor. And it would be like, I mean, I was sweating, hardworking, moving the entire day, finish up 5, 6, go take a shower and go to the bar till 2 a.m., wake up at 6, get there by 7. I did that for years, dude. I don't want to hear it. Like you said, we're the youngest team in the NFL. If that's the case, then we're way off, man. I mean, I don't know what to say to that one. It leads me to believe it's a bunch of horse shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's just not motivating. Yeah. So Kevin has an interesting point going along with this. He says the Giants and Pats won the offseason this year and they have losing records. Case in point, Kevin. Like, that's exactly right. Like, we were the offseason champions for so many years, right? And now we're still doing well because what we're doing is we're making these trades and having draft picks, right? So we're kind of still having offseason excitement, but for the right reasons, at least as far as where to focus your energies and your resources and all that sort of stuff. But you look at the Giants, you look at the Patriots. Now, the Patriots just shellacked our ass, but that's more on us than it is on them. Okay, we can't even figure out how to rattle a rookie quarterback. We have no idea what we're doing right now. But when you look at the teams that traditionally spend big in free agency, 9 out of every 10 don't meet their goals. They don't. And that's the thing. When people are saying we should have signed Thuney and Conklin, maybe we should have signed one of those guys. All right, I'm always in favor of signing offensive linemen. I really am. But when you look at the lack of spending in free agency, I have to say, for me, even though it goes against my built up like expectations as a Jets fan, I think it's refreshing. Like, I really do. Now, maybe he's bringing in the wrong players. I don't know, but I want a GM to build for the draft. He's acquired a lot of draft capital to do so. So for me, that side doesn't seem like it's really in question. I think they're nitpicking, man. And now look, Pauline has done a good job. He's actually one of the reporters that I don't dislike. Like, I don't love him, but I like him a lot. He was the guy that broke the whole story on the McCagnon Gase thing, and everybody said he was full of shit. Everybody said he didn't know what he was talking about, and it came true, all of it. So I tend to take his words a little bit more serious, but if you read the article, there's not a lot of concrete. It's a lot of people feel, people think, that how he views it. Like, there's a lot of that stuff. And so I wouldn't get all bunched up over it, man. But it does raise some questions. The fact that this team doesn't like Mims, it's like the epitome of being a Jets fan. It's like we finally get that receiver that slips. Totally should have been a first-round pick. Whatever the reason was, he slipped. It happened to Michael Thomas. It happened to DK Metcalf. It happened to Terry McLaurin. It happens all the time. Every year there's great receivers. Michael Pittman. So it happens all the time. T. Higgins, you know what I mean? Guys slip, and we get our guy. 6'3", 4'8" speed, clutch, so, cool and calm under pressure, great hands, blocks like an animal. And the coaching staff hates him. It's just a Jetsy thing to do. I don't get it. But the fact that Corey Davis is hurt and Mike White is playing, I think that the deck is set in our favor to at least see good football. Now, LaFleur can ruin that, but I think Mike White, Mims, Elijah Moore, it might be something, guys. I mean, dude, he threw for 12,903 yards. Now, it's not the SEC, dude, but you cannot take away 13,000 yards in 2 years. And he played in the Senior Bowl and did well. So I don't know. You think yeah, go on.
I just wanted to give you a scenario that I gave Frankie because his reaction was hysterical last night. What if Mims was to go berserk on Sunday, right? What if he gets 8 receptions, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns? What if he goes crazy? Yards after the catch, right? He's the beast we know he is, makes amazing catches. And then in 2 weeks from now, it's back down to 15 to 20 reps. Cole still starting with Davis on the other side. Frankie's reaction, Frankie jumped out of his seat and went, no, I'll go up there. We'll have picket fences. We'll close that stadium down. Do you think that's a possibility? Do you think they would actually go that far if he had the best game, one of the most, like the best game that we've had from a wide receiver, that they would have any chance that they would actually pull back on him again?
Yeah, I think there's plenty of chance. I was messing around on Twitter and I said, I was like all kind of pumped up while I was walking the dog, and I was on Twitter and I said, Mims, if Mims goes off, he should take every touchdown and just walk over to LaFleur, hand him the ball and say, thanks, coach. Thanks for everything you've done for me, coach. Like, you know what I mean? He should fucking stuff it down their faces, man. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, because this is ridiculous. Now, do I think it's possible? Yeah. Dude, I have not really approved of their personnel decisions yet. I mean, look, I just like the Tevin Coleman, Josh Adams. Where's LaMichael Pirine? Ty Johnson can't block or catch. Like, what the hell is going on? They started George Fant over Morgan Moses. Like, just so much stuff. There's a lot of that stuff. I just don't like it. I don't understand. So, again, if they were winning, I wouldn't care. But they're not. So it bothers me. So do I think it's possible? Look, let's say Corey Davis is out 2 weeks and Mims, gets 200 yards in those weeks, 12 catches, 8 and 10 catches, 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. Do I think they could put him back on the bench? Yeah, I do. And that's sad.
Yeah. I wouldn't be, I don't know what I would do in that situation. There's only so much you could take. And it's like, there's losing and then there's losing with stupidity. Yeah. And so what we were saying, if we were doing the right things, playing the right personnel, and we were being a little bit competitive and we were losing, we'd say, hey, we're on the right track. But like you said, when you're losing and you're not playing Mims, when you're losing, when you come out and put Fanton and Moses is not in there, when you make those decisions and it backfires and explodes on you, then you're going to hear about it from us.
Yeah, absolutely. So Captain K Techno is in the house. What's up, buddy? It's good to see you. And he says Mims needs to make himself undroppable this week. Well, look, that's number one. If he comes out and has one drop, I'm going to lose my shit, because it's probably because they built it up so much that this is his moment. You know what I mean? But if he doesn't have a good showing, I'm going to be upset and disappointed. I don't know what to think this year. But so guys are in there in the chat talking about just like what was said in the article. So they're talking about Joe Douglas kind of lowballing guys. He lowballed Robbie Anderson. He lowballed Brian Hoyer. He lowballed, and then they brought, I'm trying to look for the comment. He lowballed, oh man, I'm way up top. So he lowballed May and Adams. Here's the thing with that. And I believe this to be the case. I don't think he ever had an intention of extending Jamal Adams. I don't think he ever had that intention. He spoke the general manager company line the whole time. Joe Douglas doesn't show his hand, right? Which I like, by the way. I do. I want to know shit, but I do like that he doesn't, like, his house is tight. I like that. So the idea that Jamal Adams went around him to the owner to complain and then didn't talk to the coach and GM for 2 weeks and took all his Jet stuff off Twitter and Instagram and all that. He knew right then, this is not the guy I want to build around. He drafted a safety in the next draft, and we all hated it, myself included, because I'm like, why are we drafting a safety? We have Jamal Adams and Marcus May. That's the least of our worries. But in my opinion, he already knew. He was just waiting for the right offer, and he got it. So, and then like with lowballing May, again, we've talked about this ad nauseum, but just very quickly, May's under contract. He has 2 franchise tags at, $23 million for 2 years. So why is he going to guarantee anything more than that? So it just doesn't make sense. Like and look, May is a flawed player. Like he's good. You want that kind of guy on your team, but you don't want to allocate extra resources to a guy like him. Like look at last week's game, dude. First drive of the game, he could have stuffed that guy behind the line of scrimmage. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was even third down, and he got juked out of his shoes, dude. His knee extended. He looked like a complete moron. The guy went on to get a first down. So it's like, and I'm not even throwing him under. I'm just saying, he's a flawed player. He's good. That's it. He's not somebody that you want to make sure you lock up. And I got to be in favor of holding the line with a guy like that. You know what I mean? Like that's one of the things that over the years we have suffered. Like McCagnon would have extended. Jamal Adams would be getting 17, probably more, 18 million a year. We have CJ Mosley for 7. He would have signed Sam Darnold because of saving face. So we'd be giving Sam 35. May would have 14. Like, you see what I'm saying? So we'd have Sam Darnold, Jamal Adams, Marcus May, and we'd have no more friggin' money. Like that's our big names. So I do support it, man.
Yeah. I again, I don't know how many times you could say it. Like, when does it work signing big name free agents? It's so often in other sports too, backfires so often. And look at the organizations in the NFL the last 30 years and pick the ones you want to be like. Pick the ones that have won multiple Super Bowls of sustained success. Was it by going out and signing $20 million players?
Yeah.
Or was it by building teams through the draft?
Right. And that takes a while.
It's just so simple. It's so simple. That's why it was so uncharacteristic of Seattle to not only trade all that draft capital for Jamal, but knowing that they were going to have to pay him for a guy who's not a game-changing player. It's shocking. And look, Seattle is doing worse than they've done when they were in the Super Bowl 2 years in a row. They weren't paying guys $18 million a year for being a little better than average.
Yeah.
And Jamal's not even average. So as soon as they started acting not themselves, because they couldn't pull it through the draft, the team isn't competing for Super Bowls anymore. They're not as close. They got holes.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Like when you look at the teams that you want to emulate, sure, there is a signing here and there. It's like well-placed signings and all that, but it's like their rosters are built through the draft and development. That's what they're doing. So Jason Rhodes brings up a point. Just to clarify, Jason, he said they aren't tagging May at 16 plus 16. Next year. No. In 2 years, it's 16 million. So 2023, it's 16 million. Because technically they do have a third franchise tag that they can use, but nobody uses it because it's exorbitant. So for what I was talking about was this year, 2021, it's 10.6, and next year it's 12.3, I think it is. So just about $23 million for 2021 and 2022. So Joe Douglas, theoretically, because we don't have his side, we only have the agent's disgruntled side, is that he offered him 20% less to guarantee. You know what I mean? So if I'm going to give you guarantees, then it's going to be at this price. You know what I mean? So I think that he more than likely will tag May this year. If we don't trade him before the trade deadline, I think that we will tag him and we will probably end up trading him. Like a tag and trade, which is what you usually see, because 12.3 is still a little bit high. Although I could see him getting $12 million a year, but I don't know if I don't think 12 million's what you want to pay him. I just don't. 10 million, that kind of thing.
I don't think they will, especially with such a strong draft coming up with safeties, where you can get in the mid rounds, you can get a safety. So like, I don't see them paying him $12 million, unless he starts to play like a rock star in the next couple of weeks. If he starts lighting it up and becoming, again, it's about being game changing. It's about being, you want big money. It's about making a difference consistently every week on that field. And like, you don't want to pay players just because they have some stats that look sexy, but are on and off and aren't really there like every week. I mean, great players are there every week.
Yeah. That's a good point. So Jason Rhodes, I mean, look, you're kind of, this is a question. He says, GreenBean, did Joe lie to Adams, to us and the fans? Number one, we have no idea what he said to Jamal Adams, right? None. And Joe Douglas has come out and said, I never told him that. I never told him that he was going to get signed at this point for this much. Never, ever, ever did I tell him that. He came out and said that. Now, did he lie to us? Yeah, he's supposed to lie to us. He's supposed to speak like a GM. He's not supposed to blab all of his plans. You want your GM to do that. You don't want your GM to show his hand and remove his positions of strength. You want a GM to speak what's called the company line. You want that. Jamal Adams is a stud. Jamal Adams, the goal is for Jamal Adams to be a Jet for life. If you take that as lying, then I guess, you have a point. I don't. I think you want your GM. Like, remember back in the Idzik, even Tannenbaum, and during the Rex years, we found out that Rex was his own leak. Remember that? But during the Rex Ryan years, we knew every thought going on inside the facility. Okay. During the Idzik and McCagnon, we knew everything going on in the facility because nobody could shut the hell up. You want, and look how it ended up, right? You want your GM to be able to keep everything close to the vest. And they're going to ask him questions. The press is going to say, well, what about this? And what about that? And he's going to say, nope. That's exactly. I want Jamal on the team. Absolutely. And then he found the offer and traded his ass. You know what I mean? Like, he's not supposed to say, no, I'm looking to trade Jamal, or no, I don't really want him and all that. But again, we only hear the side from the agents. We only hear the side from the disgruntled people. We don't hear shit from Joe Douglas as far as what's really going on. And again, I think that's to our benefit. I really do.
If he doesn't go out there and say, we want him, we love him, he's great, we're planning on signing him, then you don't get the 2 number 1 picks. You don't get the return you got from Seattle. That's the whole point. You're supposed to bluff. It's poker. You don't.
Yeah, it's bluffing.
You don't. Right. You don't sit there and say, "Oh, I hate my hand. I'm probably going to fold if you bet." I don't like to say.
And then you have a good hand. You go, liar.
Yeah. It's like, of course he's going to sit there and say it's called bluffing. It's like, yeah, they're never going to say, if you're trying to trade a guy, they're never going to say he's a poor attitude. This is not a guy that's a fit for our team. We don't want him, and then try to trade him. That's not what you're doing. You're going to sit there and say the best things you can about him. Oh, he made a mistake. He's great. We like him. We'll get through that. Right. That's just a business on the agent side. It has nothing to do with the player. Those are the things you say to keep the value up with the player. And don't be surprised if it happens with Marcus May, right? If you see Marcus May traded on Monday morning, it doesn't mean Robert Saleh lied when he said we support Marcus May. It means that if he would have said we don't support him, we don't want him anymore, he would have killed his trade value. Killed his trade value.
Yeah. No, and that's the good point. And I've seen people say that before. Like, look, the truth is, technically you're correct. Technically you're correct. He is lying, but it's a position where you have to, like Jeremy just put eloquently, the word that you could use to really just describe this well is bluff. He's bluffing, and he's supposed to bluff. You want your GM to come out on top of trades and negotiations. That's what you want. And look, I want to make sure that it's clear too. 99% of the time, I support the players. I want you to know that. Like, I think for far too long, these organizations took advantage of players. They don't, keep up with their contracts for years and years and years. This is a new phenomenon that relatively new when you look at the lineage of the NFL. It's a newer phenomenon that players are able to truly capitalize and get guarantees and all that kind of stuff. So I'm always in favor of a player getting theirs. I am. But at the same time, I'm not in favor of a player getting theirs at the behest, like at the detriment to our team, like if they don't deserve it, or I don't want my GM getting kicked around all over the place. That's not what we want. And that was Mike Maccagnan. Mike Maccagnan got kicked around all over. People loved dealing with Maccagnan. $17 million for CJ Mosley. CJ Mosley, the next offer was around 12. He paid $5 million more per year. Now, maybe he had to because nobody wanted to come here. The Jets tax, we call it. At the same time, dude, that's no good. You don't want your GM paying $5 million a year extra. So, look, the truth is that there's a lot to gripe about right now, but I don't think the negotiating or trading and all that is one of them. I really don't, you know? I mean, when you look at the guys, who are we talking about? You know, Robbie had a good year last year, but he's back to, his normal self, really. Robbie's a very limited wide receiver. I love them, but he's limited, So it's like, we look at Robbie, Sam, Jamal, and like who else? Like who's really? I mean, Leo had a good year last year, but he's kind of having an average year, solid, But it's not like anybody that we've gotten rid of is worth the money they're getting. 21 million for Leo, 17.5 for Jamal. It's like I don't know. I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see it as too big of an issue. Now the issue is why aren't they playing Mims? What is this madness? Why? What's with our coaching? Do we think that LaFleur is going to simplify this game for Mike White, or has he been around long enough they're just going to throw him into the wolves? What do you see there, Jeremy? Do you think we have any chance of being kind of a trimmed down offense so White can succeed?
I wouldn't see the purpose of it. Like with Zach, there's a purpose. We're throwing him in like that, and we're throwing him into the fire like that because we don't care about this year. We do. We want to be competitive, but we don't care in the sense that even though we might be able to have more success by simplifying it for him, in the long run, we can never get to the higher level that we want to be. And we want to immersify him and use this first year, second year to make him an expert on this complex system that when he masters is going to be unstoppable. He's going to be amazing. And that's their belief system. It doesn't make sense to do that with Mike White because he's not the guy you're planning on running the offense for the, long-term to go to Super Bowls with. So it doesn't make sense to, it's just what's the purpose of doing it? Like for him, why not just try to be competitive and simplify the game for him?
Yeah. And, but it's an interesting little subject because in my opinion, they should have probably trimmed down the offense for Zach, to get him started. You know what I mean? Just kind of have you should be able to identify which plays he's smoother in, which plays he's more comfortable, and the offensive line for that matter, like which plays are the offensive players as a whole running the best, and just kind of work through that. And it doesn't look like, I might be wrong. I don't know, but it doesn't look like the offense is too comfortable in what they're doing. The receivers are dropping balls, which generally means they're thinking. Okay. It generally means they're in their heads. The offensive line is missing stunts and assignments all over the place. So they're clearly confused from week one. It was one of the first things I noticed this year. I said, holy shit. What's going on with the offensive line? It's not like they were getting like pushed back all that. Like they were just straight up missing dudes coming in. They don't know what they're doing. So, and then you look at Zach and he's all over the place. So it's like, what is that? Generally, that would be because they're not fully absorbing and able to employ the teachings of the coaching staff, right? So I think we might see that with Mike White, just like you were kind of alluding to there, because we're not trying to make sure he knows everything going through the season. But if he has success with it, do you think they'll learn? Like, oh, well, hey, look at this. Even Mike White could succeed in this offense if we trim it down.
I don't know, but it depends on how strong in the philosophy they are, because they might just go right back to, yes, but it will have a limitation. Like we could play better right now, but it'll have a limitation but the argument is, why can't they expand it slowly and gradually? It's just a different approach. I'm not saying I agree with it. It's just very obvious what they're doing. Like, it's not that I'm saying I support it, but it's like, if you go to certain countries, you go, like, I think I said this, I've said this in the past. I don't know if I said it to you. This is a reality. If you go to Israel, if I went and moved to Israel and said, that's my birthright, right? And I went to Israel, And they would give me citizenship, and they would throw me into a building to teach me Hebrew, to speak the language that's required to become a citizen. And they don't speak a word of English in that building. They completely immersify you. So you're a total moron in the beginning, right? So think about that. You're horrible. You're horrible. You're horrible. They're only speaking Hebrew until you figure it out. But when you figure it out, you're fluent. You go right to fluent because you start picking it up. I'm not saying it's the right philosophy for quarterback. I think the big gamble in that, and it might be what's determining it, is you got to look at the person, and that's Zach Wilson. Can he handle and do it that way without losing his confidence? They're taking a gamble on that he's not going to become a guy who sees ghosts. Like, he's not going to get that PTSD and and never get over it. Like, they're trusting his ability to stay confident and know and understand what's happening, and that it's going to happen.
It's a good point, but so let me ask you, and I'm not, I'm asking what you think on this one, all right? If you saw the results so far this season and him getting literally bruised and battered and smacked around and all that sort of shit, and now he can't even hit a screen pass and all that, would you trade it? I mean, would you trim it back, or would you just say, no, we're in this deep, we're up to our knees in this stuff, we just forge ahead? Like, what would you do?
I would have trimmed it back from the start. I would have never have done this. I would have given him a piece, kept it simple in the beginning. And if we were competitive, not even winning, I'd be happy, right? If he was like build up confidence, not just of him, but of the team, build a winning culture. Like, if you do get some wins out of it, build a winning culture, right, and then slowly add to it throughout the season. Hey, this week we're going to work in this, and this week we're going to work in, and do what they say, stacking, right? Well, it doesn't seem like they're stacking. It seems like they threw the whole book at them from week one. I would definitely simplify it. I think I'm definitely not someone who believes in that philosophy. I believe in scaffolding and building up.
Yeah. And look, Gitmo Bob says a very similar thing here. He says, before you expand the offense, you need to master the things you do well. This is LaFraud's week. That's been Gitmo Bob I think you should copyright that, buddy. That's you. He made that one, LaFraud. That's all Gitmo Bob. And I think you should protect yourself, because I'm starting to see it around there, Bob. You got to protect your creativity, your intellectual property, friend. So, but yeah, and that's kind of what you're saying. It's like, I don't know. And this is what you deal with when you have a rookie, that people look, LaFleur is 30 years old or something crazy like that. He's young. He looks even younger. He's never done this before. His big brother is up in Green Bay doing great. His mentor is over in San Francisco. He's done great. And now here he is on his own. He knows everybody's looking at him as like the little brother. And I think that he's probably suffering from, like, if I do this, they'll think this kind of stuff. I do believe that's part of the equation. I really do. And that's not a place you ever want to be. If anybody's ever been out there and you kind of got a promotion or whatever, and it doesn't go perfectly at first, you'll recognize those thoughts. Oh my God, they think this about me now. I've done it. I've definitely done it. I used to stay up at night. Literally this, Jeremy. I used to, when I was the program director for the first time, my first time in a director role, I was literally studying and learning shit at night. And then in the staff meetings on Monday, talking about it as if I knew it forever. Like, no, guys, you got to understand and that's what I was doing. I hit mute. I was one day ahead of my staff, and I did that for a year. You know what I mean? Because I was like not sleeping. That's when my beard turned gray. I shit you not. I would go at work and I would literally sleep there. I would come home like 2 days later, and my wife would say to me, dude, there's more gray in your beard today than when you left 2 days ago. Like, absolutely. Like, my beard turned white. I had a beautiful brown and red beard when I started. So it happened. I think LaFleur is not only doing this for the first time, and with all those variables I just explained, but he's under a microscope. And the New York media, on top of that, they see blood in the water and they're all over it. You know what I mean? They're perpetuating narratives that he's under the microscope, or, you know what I mean? He's in trouble, all that. He's the one that's going to fall on a sword. So it can't be easy. Let me just say that I'm not a fan of his right now, man. but it can't be easy, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, follower of Christ says, "Keep it simple, stupid." That's what Jeremy's saying. He would have done it. I like how you said that scaffolding approach. Let's get up to one level at a time, and that's what Gitmo Bob was saying as well.
That's what we do in education, right? We scaffold. It's like you don't just start with two-step equations in algebra. You start with teaching them. You scaffold it. You teach them what a variable is, and it's like it builds.
Yeah.
And it's like very obvious that they're doing too much. Like, and just like you said, I mean, when it goes beyond the quarterback and it goes to the receiver, it's too much, man. I looked at one play from a playbook of the West Coast offense, and I said it would take me in any of these positions so long to learn the one play.
Yeah.
So if the defender does this, I do this, and if the defender does that, I do that, and then you have to have a quarterback who's under pressure. Right, who has guys coming at him to kill him, and he's looking at all these guys and having to know in sync with them. Oh, the defender's doing that, and trust that the receiver is going to do the route he's supposed to do when the defender's doing that. So they both have to be right.
Right.
Otherwise, what happens? You get a pick. You throw the ball to where the receiver's supposed to be, and there's the defender sitting there.
Yeah, it's right. It's not easy, and that's why I think, I think the way you put it too, with the example in Israel, how they do that. Is that's a tactic, that's a technique, and people do employ that. But I think in this instance, with so many young impressionable guys and all that sort of stuff, I think we probably should have taken a different approach, and that's my thought. Roman Wutrich, did I say that right? Hello from Germany. Well, hello to you, Roman. Forgive me if I didn't pronounce it right. Wutrich.
Sounds like you're saying it right, but I'm sure Roman appreciates the enthusiasm in what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, I'm adding a roll there, so that tends to legitimize any foreign language. But anyway, we're glad you're here. We got a couple different countries represented here today, which is super cool, and that's why we're doing this, man. We're trying to make it a little bit more accessible to the people over in Europe, instead of you guys having to check in at midnight just to hear a couple goons talking about the Jets. So that's why we're doing this. So we're glad to hear, Gitmo Bob says, I can't take credit for that LaFraud thing. You heard someone else say it. Well, Bob, I don't agree. I think you made it. I don't care what you think. I think it's yours. And that's what I'm rolling with, buddy. Okay.
It's the first person to copyright it.
Yeah, there you go. And that's the way it goes. It's like in football, the guy throwing the retaliation gets caught. Same thing goes on the positive side. Somebody else could have said it. You're the guy to take it. It's what happened with the sack exchange. Remember, I had that gentleman on, and he was with the Jets Report back in the 80s, and he said that they had a contest, and the guy won the contest, and then somebody saw that, and then they coined it, and they made posters and everything else, and the guy who actually made it never got credit, which is just sad, but that's the way it goes. So if you copyright it, we will fully support that it was you, Gitmo Bob.
Maybe Gitmo will sign a release for you, right? And in the merch store, you could have a new T-shirt that says, and it could start Gitmo Bob, right? So it has his name on it, so you're giving him credit. So it says Gitmo Bob, and it says, "This ain't no happenstance. It's a LaFraud."
It's a LaFraud. I like it. Yeah, now that's what we're talking about. Stacking things on, So Michael wants to know if I'm home. Technically speaking, I'm always home, Michael. This is my RV. I live in it. I live in an RV and we travel around, but I am in Virginia up until late November. We've been here since the end of August. So we're just taking a break so my son can play football. That's where I was this morning. I took my son. We were up at 6, out of the house by 7, so he could be at football practice at 8. And he caught a couple. He's playing some Z. He's playing some Z. He's a starting cornerback, and he's starting to play some Z receiver. And he had some nice catches today, good ones. So
Nice.
I think he's getting his confidence. So anyway, that's what we're doing here in Virginia. We'll be leaving here for Florida the end of November, and then I'll be in Florida with no internet again. That'll be fun. So what else we got? Yeah, Phil Adams reminds us there are now 57 in the chat. We only have about 30 likes. Guys, if you wouldn't mind, it's really, really easy. Even if you don't like it, hit that thumbs up button. What's the big deal, right? So we do appreciate it. It helps. It helps the algorithm. It lets more people know that the people that do watch like it, and then it'll show it to more people, and we can grow that way. I want to remind everybody we're having a contest right now. December 27th is my 1 year on YouTube. It seems like 10 years, Jeremy, but it's only not even 1 year yet. And I'm trying to get that last push to make 5,000 my first for my first year. So all you got to do to be entered is subscribe to this channel, and then go to Full Time Coaster Tour on YouTube and subscribe there. Once you do that, you are entered. If you want an additional entry, go to my Instagram, which is Greenbeanjetsfan, Greenbeanjetsfan. There it is. On Instagram, and you can follow me there. That will give you another entry, and you can win one of the t-shirts of your choice from the greenbeanjetsfan.com merch store, and one grand prize winner will also get a t-shirt, but will also get some stickers and the ultra smooth pack from Manscaped, so you can trim up those there nuts and make them good for the party next weekend. Okay, so
or you could go through your life wearing shirts like I do.
Radio Shack. There it is. I don't wear mine. Look at this one.
I hate people.
It's supposed to be a play. Like, I really like camping. I like the mountains. That's why I do it. But I wear this one all the time.
Hey, I know there's people in here who have not subscribed to Full Time Coaster Tour. If you're in Europe especially, and you want to learn about American culture, you go to Full Time Coaster Tour and you watch the videos of our amusement parks and the food and all the different places and the different roller coasters. And that is 100% America. And the narration is amazing. I'm telling you, Greenbean, you always say how Frankie has the voice. Greenbean has a talent as a narrator that you wouldn't believe. Close your eyes and listen to him sometimes, because when you see the clips of the amusement park and he's talking, you'd think that he was a professional that's been doing it for 20 years. Ooh. So go to Full Time Coaster Tour and make my day, because I've been tracking it. Because I text you all the time.
Yeah, where 15. Are we now?
Yeah, it was like the last I checked, it went up like 15, and it's like you need like 30 more to hit 1,000. It's like getting super exciting.
Yeah, it is. And I thank you for that, Jeremy. I put a lot into those. I actually spend more time on those because I'm editing the shit out of them. I have to compile. I have to go to the theme park, film all the stuff, bring it into my computer, and then I usually film like 2 or 3 hours worth of material, and I'm making 10-minute videos. So, Anyway, I appreciate that. And yeah, guys, and then look, you can get something back for it. Hit subscribe here, subscribe at Full Time Coaster Tour, and you're automatically entered. And I'm going to pick the 3 winners at random using a randomizer. So I don't, no favoritism or anything like that. It could be a guy who's watched one video that wins, or a guy that watched all of them. I'm not, it's going to be completely random. But anyway, so let's see what else we got here. So you go back to Legoland. Yeah, well, I'm not going to go to Legoland this year. I've only done Legoland Florida, but we are going to be hitting Universal again, probably SeaWorld, and because I got to get on the Velocicoaster at Universal. I haven't been on that one yet. So we'll do SeaWorld, and then we're going to probably do Busch Gardens Tampa again. And I got my Busch Gardens Williamsburg video coming out before the end of the weekend. I just went to their haunt, all the haunted houses and all the ghouls with chainsaws running around throughout the theme park. So I'll show you guys that as well. So what else did we have here? So we talked about Mims. We talked about Mike White, Corey Davis's injury. Oh, Jared Davis is coming back.
Oh, yes. Yes.
What do you guys think? And let's bounce this to the chat. What do you guys think? Do you think Jared Davis is going to come back with about 1.5 inches of rust all over him, or do you think he's going to be fluid? Him and Mosley are back this week, so couldn't ask for a better time, because now with Sherwood getting his Achilles torn, what a bad bounce, man. Two of our guys have Achilles tears this year, Jamian Sherwood and Carl Lawson. So we have Jared Davis and CJ Mosley to go with Quincy Williams. That's not a bad linebacking crew right there. But Jared Davis is a huge question mark. How do you see it, Jeremy? And then chat, let us know what you guys think as well. Do you see any rust, or do you see him coming in and lumping people up? So, Jeremy, what you got?
I'm excited that he's coming back. I don't know. I mean, there might be a game of rust. Maybe not. It depends on, people are different. Like they're like the practice. They can come from practice right into a game and not have that rust. Because it's more mental than anything, right? Because when you're practicing, you're playing. It's mental to get into the feel of it and the flow and the speed of the game. So it'll be interesting to see. But I'm excited that he is there. I think that they see him as a good fit for the scheme. So I think it's much, much needed. And I just hope CJ is not, coming back too soon with the hamstring. Hamstrings scare me because you always think in your head, because if you've ever had hamstring issues, they linger forever. I mean, when I was a kid, my hamstring, man, it would never get better. I've seen it, and it used to ruin careers. Like there were baseball players who always out because of a hamstring. So it scares me. I just hope that it's completely healed and they're doing the smart thing and he's ready to sprint full speed and has the confidence to do that and not re-injure himself or not having, not aggravating it. But if we have both of them playing, I'm feeling a lot better that you won't see teams run on us like New England did. Like we won't be that embarrassed. Yeah. It won't be as embarrassing.
Yeah, it's a good point. Harry says he thinks he'll be great. So you know what? I might even consider putting Jared Davis and Quincy Williams out there in a 2 linebacker set and just kind of fold Mosley in a little bit as opposed to putting him on the field the whole time. Another week with the hamstring can go a long way, man. I know it's been technically 2 weeks since he injured it. So that's still okay if it was just a minor tweak, but I don't know. I'm nervous too. Hamstrings are weird, just like his groin last year. He couldn't get it right, man. He could not he tried to come back, and by the end of the game, it was re-injured, and we lost him for the rest of the year. I would hate to lose CJ Mosley because, quite frankly, I'm not giving up on this season yet. Sure, we've looked bad, but it's one of those kind of looking bad that it just seems like we don't have it put together. So it's one of those, the way it looks, we have a lot of talent, man. We do. We have a lot of talented young players. And if they could put it together, we could go on a little run of at least being competitive here. And that's really all I want. All I want is competitive. I don't have to win. If we win 2-3 more games and we're just, it looks like we actually know how to play football, I'm fine with that. And that would be the progress that I want from this season. Sadly, the coaching staff has given me very little support for that, but I'm still not giving up. I want to see CJ Mosley. I want to see Jared Davis and Denzel Mims and even LaMichael Pirine. I can't wait till he gets in. Great hands, great blocker. I just don't know what the frig is going on. So Get My Bob says you haven't seen Davis play enough to evaluate him in this defense. And that's the interesting thing, Jeremy, is that, truth be told, he didn't have a good year in Detroit before we grabbed him. So
I was pissed when they first signed him. I was pissed because New England was signing all these guys. Everyone's getting the big names, and it's like, and the Jets signed Jared Davis. I was like, a backup linebacker for Detroit. But and what I said is, I still in my mind think that way. Like, well, but then I think they had a really bad coach, kind of like Gase was for some players, maybe in Detroit. He did a lot better as a backup in a certain role, and I'm just we haven't seen him in this scheme yet, but the coaches have. And the coaching staff went out and got him, or Joe Douglas went out and got him for a specific reason, knowing the scheme. So obviously we haven't seen him and he has to prove himself. Everybody, and it's a prove it kind of contract, but the coaching staff saw something, right? They signed him for a reason. So
it's funny too because you remember if you look at the lay of the land when we signed him, it was probably the least favorable signing that you could possibly have pulled in during that time. We were hoping for Thuney or Lindsley or even like a Galladay or Juju Smith-Schuster. Like we were in that world. And then all of a sudden we signed the linebacker from Detroit, who's been a big disappointment. But it's interesting because I loved him coming out. I thought he was going to be one of the next great linebackers, really. And his first 2 years, he looked to be on that trajectory. Then Matt Patricia came and everything fell apart for him. Again, coaches can ruin players, man. It happens all the time, which is what I think is going on right now in the Jets for some guys. But Jared Davis is one that they seem to believe in. And I think that it really is a shame that he didn't start the season, because things might be different. Who knows? But especially if him and Lawson and Vinny Curry and all these guys that we hope to start the season with started, we don't know what we would have seen, man. It could be a whole different season. Who knows? But I think it's going to be a good thing. I think I agree with Harry. I think he'll probably have a little bit of rust, but I think overall he's going to have a good game. I think we're going to see some nice hits from him, stuffing guys at the line, that kind of stuff, which is really that's his forte, man. They want him to be a free roaming running back killer. So I think if that happens, we're going to be good. Now, Steven Sitchell brings up, I think we'll wrap it up with this one too, really quick. Trade deadline is in a couple of days, November 2nd, which is Monday, right, Jeremy? Isn't it Monday?
I thought Tuesday. That's why people are saying Monday. Isn't Tuesday the actual?
Tuesday.
Is Monday night at midnight? Maybe Monday at midnight.
Yeah. Okay. So Tuesday is the trading deadline. Now Steve's talking about potentially tanking if we trade May. I don't know if that means we're tanking or not, but I think we probably should trade someone. Just grab a guy and trade. Who do you think, Jeremy? And I'll ask the chat this too. Who do you guys think realistically we will trade, and realistically who we should trade? So I'll throw that question at you. Number one, who do you think we should trade, and then who do you think we will trade, if anybody?
Man, I don't think it's tanking. I just think that it's reality of, are they going to be here? Like, it's like, if you know that you're not going to extend May and there's going to be no way to work out a contract with him based on your talks with the agent from the past, if you know that you're not going to be able to keep him, 1-5 at this point. Zach hurt for a few weeks. Again, it depends on what you're getting, but I would expect him. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they trade him. Let's just say that. I'm not saying they're going to for sure. I don't make predictions. I don't make predictions like that because I'm not in their office. I don't know what they're thinking. But so I'm not going to try to predict. But I wouldn't be shocked. Crowder and May are the guys that wouldn't shock me at all. It wouldn't shock me for a second. And I think it's going to depend on what's offered. And I'll back either one as long as we get something. As long as JD seems to get more value than we think in return. And if he does that, then I'll be happy. If he gets very little back and it's like some late pick or something for one of those guys, I'll be pissed because I think they have value just for the leadership and the confidence of the team. Like I don't take Crowder away from Zach Wilson unless you give me something real, because I think he's a guy that can help Zach when he comes back. So I think that even if it is Crowder's last year as a Jet, there's still importance and value in him being there for the rest of this year. And you're going to have to give us something for that value.
Yeah. And that's a good point. And you know what's funny? I go back and forth on that. Like, look, I love Crowder. I mean, from my standpoint, I think he's the kind of guy you lock up for a few years. He's solid. He does get hurt every year. He always misses a couple of games. But overall, he's really an impactful guy. He's solid. He seems like a great teammate. Never whines, complains about anything. Just a go-to-work kind of guy. And he's the kind of player I'd like to say, hey, man, we'll give you $6 million a year for 2 years. Like, just, you know what I mean? Lock him up. But they're probably not going to, good with their youth movement. And I do see his value. At the same time, if you could get a third for Crowder, and that would elevate, Elijah Moore, the Denzel Mims of the world. Like, we have depth. I could see that too. You know what I mean? I could see that too. I wouldn't be upset, even though I tend to lean toward what you're saying. He has value to a young quarterback. I would never discount that. Like I said, I'd rather him just stay here. But if you can get a third for him, I think you have to consider it. Let's look at the chat. Gitmo Bob brings up a good point. Silver lining, we call this. If Davis didn't get hurt, the Jets might not have obtained Quincy Williams, and that is a positive. That's a positive. He's played well for us. Jason Rhodes chiming back in says he thinks Mims is getting traded. Well, with the way I know it would kill me. If the way the coaching staff has been treating him, I wouldn't be surprised. But don't forget, Joe Douglas makes the trades, not Robert Saleh. So I think he's going to keep Mims around for weeks just like this and say, watch what my boy does. Even that Pauline article said that the front office loves Denzel Mims. So Let's see what else.
So I wonder if Jason is thinking if Mims was to step up now and have that 140-yard game, 2 touchdowns, and be a beast, that his trade value would be really, really high, and that we can get a steal. But no matter what we get back, it's going to make me sick because I know if we trade him, no matter what we get back, he's not going to be Jamal Adams where we're laughing at him and calling him a fraud. Mims is going to go somewhere and he's going to light up the league and he's going to be a premier WR1. You thought people were mad about Anderson? Yeah. Anderson ain't no Mims. Wait till you see what Mims will do on some other team.
That's right. If Denzel Mims went to any team that has even somewhere near a prolific offense, he's going to be, honestly, he'll light things up. He's good, man. And it's just such a shame. It's such a shame. Remember, Matt Rule came out and said whenever we had a tough situation, we were going to Mims. Every time. That's where to go with the ball. And it's just a shame. So Harry says trade Nathan Shepard. I wouldn't be have any issue with that. That said, I don't think we're getting too much for him. I think 6 at best. Who knows what Joe Douglas can pull together, but I mean, he hasn't looked great this year, so I think his trade value might be low, but I can totally support the idea. Let's see. Nobody's given us any answers. They don't really want to talk about this one, so let me see. Nope. Nobody's really talking about it.
What would we get back for Shepard? 2 cases of Coke?
Do they even drink Coke?
I mean, like, what, you know, like, remember the Seinfeld when George Costanza was traded to the Houston Astros or something, and it was like, like Steinbrenner said, throw in like some hot dogs or something.
Yeah, something like
that. What are we gonna get for Shepard? I don't even think I'd give a 7th round pick for Shepard.
Imagine Mike White plays well, lights it up, and they trade Flacco. Can you imagine?
That would be amazing.
Can you imagine?
That means he will have been at our facility for 3 days because he got to the facility yesterday. And that means if that happened, that Monday he'd be gone. So it would be literally 4 days and he's going somewhere else.
Yeah. So get out of here with your attitude. What do you mean you got a dentist appointment? Get the fuck out of here with that. Steve Sichel says trade Fadukasi at his height. And I think he means height and value. You know, Forlonzo Fadukasi is actually the number 1 run defender in the NFL right now. Number 1. Interesting. So his value would be high. He doesn't do much in the passing game, but number 1 run stuffer means something in this NFL. So I don't know. I mean, I personally, I'd like to keep a guy like that. You know what I mean? He's one of the rare McCagnon late round hits. I mean, look, even Blake Cashman, you know, it's like these are his late round picks. I think what you got: Blake Cashman, Trevon Wesco, Chuma Edoga, Marcus May, and Fadukasi and Quinnen. That's it. That's the only guys left. It's amazing. What a waste of time. 5 years we rooted for that shit. And we had no chance, guys. We had no chance. What the F? Where's the flag? Foley is great. Jets Gang also says keep Foley. What else we got? Let's see. Ed Stewart says Mims will tear it up on any other team. Imagine him with Stafford. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It's a travesty.
Yeah.
So trade Greg Van Roten for a Green Bean no happenstance hoodie.
Hey.
Man. You're getting screwed in that trade.
I know. I wouldn't give up a no happenstance hoodie for GBR. No way.
Yeah, Kevin Vafaduced says a 7th is more than enough for Nathan Shepard. And look, we haven't had a 7th since Joe Douglas has been here. You know that? He trades his 7ths. He traded for Alex Lewis. He uses a 7th and a player to get a 5th, like that kind of stuff. And I like that.
Yeah, to me, a 7th is it takes away the fear of losing an unsigned, like Isaiah Dunn. If we had a 7th, we may have used it on him or Kenny Yeboah to make sure some other team doesn't snake him out from under you, because you know that they had it planned to grow after those guys.
Absolutely,
they had a list and they called right away. So that's what a 7th round pick is in my mind. It's just one of those picks, right? It's one of those picks where you lock a guy up that you were going to go after and the undrafted if they don't go get drafted.
It's like you said, like we look at it like it's a jump on the undrafted free agent class. That's what it is. So Jason Rhodes says, don't forget to plug the Klecko and Gastineau for Hall of Fame. Well, Jason, that's actually what I'm working on right now. I wanted to put out a video this week, but it didn't work. I have a Klecko video that I'm making, and I'm also making what I think will be the most touching Gastineau video of all time. There's a story that I have out there. Somebody sent me a story, and I hope, is it you, Jason? I feel like it also. Forgive me. Everybody has different names on Instagram and shit, and it all. Forgive me if it's you, but I don't know. But anyway, the story that somebody told me about Gastineau is the best story It is you. Okay, There it is. Yeah, Jason. Okay, now it makes sense to me, Jason. So thank you. See, it takes me a minute. So Jason's story on Mark Gastineau is the number one story I've ever heard about Gastineau, and I can't wait. I've already begun compiling the footage that I'm using, and so we're having a whole push. Like as we trickle through this year, I want to start making some noise about Klecko to the Hall with a little side order of Gastineau to the Hall, and so yeah, man. So you guys should check out my video with oh, forgive me. What the hell's his name? I'm the worst. Let me see. Oh, I didn't even put his name. I forget his name. I'm burnt. But I made a video on the true origin of the Sack Exchange. If you guys haven't seen it, it's worth a watch, man. It's where the Sack Exchange name really came from, and how the guy Dan O'Connell who made it got completely wiped off the list of people to give credit to. And it's a shame. And so we have the actual guy who was the editor for Jets Report on the show, and it's really good. The true origin of the Sack Exchange, it's on my channel, and then we're going to dovetail that with Jason's story and some other stuff that we have cooking. But absolutely, man, we're going to get that done, Jason, and then I'll be letting you know when that video comes out, so you're well aware of it. Hopefully I do it justice. You know what I'm doing, Jeremy? I'm actually going to narrate it. You know what I mean? Just like I do for the full-time coach.
I'm telling you, you better edit than you even know.
Well, thank you, man. So before we go, I want to remind you guys, I also have a sponsor. It's the top link in the description, Sports Memorabilia. That link, you click on that link in the description, and it will take you right to the Jets page. There's some amazing content, man. Like I said, they have helmets with the entire Sack Exchange star signing it. They got LaDainian Tomlinson, all kinds of Namath, and you name it, it's on there. And if you click on that, it supports the channel. And if you spend more than $50, they'll give you free shipping, which is super cool. And and that helps me too. And don't forget, you can support me on Patreon, guys. The way I look at it, it's called the value for value system. If you feel like my channel is adding any value to your life on Thursday nights, late night on Tuesday, on Saturday morning, or Monday with the podcast, if you feel like it's adding any value, maybe give me a tip. $5 a month, $10 a month, $25 a month, whatever it is. And then some benefits come with that as well. So, but anyway, no matter what you do, I appreciate you guys being here. I sincerely do. I think you're the best. Jeremy, before we go, why don't you let them know where they can find you and what else you got going on other than your school obligations?
Well, most people know that I'm on Frankie from Flatbush's channel. Definitely give him a sub. He's doing hard work, man. I mean, that guy's crunching numbers. He's got his Predictabot. He's got his, he does the PFF grades. He makes great informative videos. And he gives it the way it is. He bases it on all the facts. Like, he's not saying it's like in stone. He just says this is what it says, and it's just kind of interesting perspective and looks at things. And then, of course, I think you put it in your link for me already, GreenBean, and I don't know if it stays every week, but me and my wife have a book. It's been out a few years. It's sold over 2,000 copies. It's pretty highly rated. I forgot early on to push it, but I should be pushing our book because we spent a lot of time making that book. And in Goodreads, it's like a 4.6 out of 5. So it's getting good ratings. People email us because we put our email in the back of the book, and we get great emails that people love the book. The honesty. It's a story about overcoming huge health challenges. So I think it's an enjoyable read, and I'd love to see the numbers go up again and I'd love for our Jet family, some of them, to read it and hear their reaction.
Yeah, and I will put that link. It is not there right now, but I'll put that in there as soon as we end. So if you refresh the stream, or maybe 10 minutes after we, that we end it, it'll be there. Jeremy's link for his book that he wrote with his wife.
Or just search my name on Amazon. You just type in Jeremy Crevent on Amazon. And by the way, that we've sold copies in the UK. We've sold copies in Australia, all over the world. So you can get it anywhere just by typing my name on Amazon, Kindle or hard copy. Although it's just English.
Okay. Wait, hold on. So I'm putting the link. This is my website, guys, greenbeanjetsfan.com. They were asking about the merch store. So when you go on that website, all you do is put it greenbeanjetsfan.com, and you'll see you'll see it'll have blogs, it has videos, it has podcasts, it has merch. So you just click on the merchandise link and it'll take you there. Okay. Who was saying that? Where did it go? Kevin Vafadust was asking about the Green Bean shop, and that's where it is, Kevin. Okay. Real simple, greenbeanjetsfan.com, and there's content on there as well. So I made a little video to say hello. So, all right, guys. Well, I think that's about it. You guys are the best. Calmness and Chaos is a great show, man. And look, the other content on Frankie's channel is no joke. He's good, man. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, he really is the real deal.
They have a great chemistry, and it's worth a click. But don't forget to be in the contest. Sub here, sub at Full-Time Coaster Tour on YouTube, and you are in the contest. Get yourself a T-shirt and maybe even the Manscaped Ultra Smooth package. But that all said, I thank you guys for being here, and we'll see you next time.
I think he's going to be day one, a violent vertical edge setter.
He's competing today. I see some gas on the edge. Get that mindset to put your shoulder on somebody. Dig, drop. You're finished. Hey, first down. He's a good kid. Where's his ass?